Batsa. You are warmly welcome to our online learning platform of Kosish Education. I am your facilitator Janak from Tanaho. So today we are going to start one more topic, task-based language teaching. I think the board is quite clear than yesterday. Is it? लेख्नुस् त board ठिक छ? Okay, tell me quickly. Sitaji, is the board clear? Yeah, tell me quickly. Janak Sigdel Sharma message गरौँ त साथीहरु.
Clear छ सर.
Not in Janak sir है. Okay, ठिक छ. So let us start from what we did yesterday. We discussed language laboratory in our previous class. Let me remind you about yesterday's class, right? So we defined language laboratory. We said language laboratory is a dedicated space for foreign language teaching where students can access to audio and or audio visual materials. So this is a specially designed classroom for language learning. So it is specially designed classroom for that is equipped with audio and sometimes video technology. We shared this yesterday, right? And then regarding its feature, it allows students to practice a foreign language. It allows students to record their voice. It allows students to listen to the authentic voice of the native speakers, and they can compare their voice with that of the native speakers. So especially it helps students to improve their pronunciation, okay, and listening comprehension as well. It allows teacher to listen to and manage students' audio through headsets or isolated sound booths. There are some booths which are isolated from each other, right? Each other with the help of the soundproof walls. So students are isolated from each other. That does not allow students to disturb one student to another student. So this is very much essential in language classroom. This was the thing we discussed yesterday. Now, today we are going to learn about the next topic, that is task-based language teaching, right? So task-based language teaching is the topic for today. Okay, so let's discuss orally in the beginning about task-based language teaching. Then we will prepare notes. We will do some question answers if we finish. So first of all, you have to be clear that task-based language teaching is the concept that is introduced by N.S. Prabhu in the 1980s. Okay, N.S. Prabhu, I'm sorry, 1980s. This is the term introduced by N.S. Prabhu in 1980s with the Bangalore project, especially. Right? Okay, fine. So, what does task-based language teaching refer to, and what is the task in a sense? So we will discuss it today. Right. So, task-based language teaching is an approach to language teaching that suggests that acquiring a second language, right? Acquiring our second language involves doing tasks in that language. This is simply task-based language teaching. Is that clear? We'll write later on. Let us know orally first, right? पहिला orally discuss गर्छौं. So, it's an approach to language teaching. Task-based language teaching is an approach to language teaching where it believes that acquiring a second language involves doing tasks in that language. And then task-based language teaching especially focuses on the use of authentic language Remember the term use of authentic language and doing meaningful tasks using that target language. Right? So remember. And then another is so task-based language teaching, right, makes tasks as the central to foreign language teaching and learning. Right? So simply a task is a communicative activity. Right? Let's define the term first. Okay? अब हामीले चाहिँ यो टर्मलाई डिफाइन गरौँ. So task-based language teaching. Now let me write task. Sorry. Okay. Task-based language teaching is an approach to foreign language teaching, or let's say language teaching. Okay, right, language teaching which suggests that, remember the term, which suggests that acquiring a second language, involves doing tasks, right? So in that language, this is the first definition you need to remember. Okay, ल यो चाहिँ पहिलो डेफिनेसन व्हाट इज टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङ भन्ने कुरामा तपाईले लेख्नुपर्ने कुरा. सेकेन्ड, it means task based language teaching focuses on, right, it focuses on the use of, right, this is simply use of as noun. Okay, use of authentic language, right, authentic language and doing meaningful task using the target language. All right. So third thing you need to remember is that it makes, remember the term tasks as the central, okay? Tasks are the central to teaching and learning. Okay, go on writing, please. Let me request you to write down. Okay, so then these are the definitions. यदि definition जान्यो भने task based language teaching के रहेछ भन्ने कुरा थाहा भयो. अब पहिलो सेन्टेन्स चाहिँ अझै यहाँ छ, right? So it is the concept introduced by N.S. Prabhu in 1980s. यो कुरा पनि तपाईले सँगै लेख्न पर्यो. केही बुझ्नु भएन भने जनक सिग्देल सरमा मेसेज गर्नुस् है त, टेक्स्ट गर्नुस्. Fine. Then यहाँसम्म क्लियर छ? It focuses on the use of authentic language. So use of authentic language is focused in task-based language teaching, and students need to do the meaningful tasks. And while completing that task, students need to use target language. Okay, so and it believes that acquiring a second language involves doing tasks in that language. In that means in second language. So tasks, remember, tasks are central to teaching and learning. I think you are clear, right? And then it requires, okay, it requires students, okay, it requires students to perform meaningful, okay, tasks, meaningful tasks which involve, हेर्नुहोस् है, अब यो चाहिँ टर्म सम्झिनु पर्यो, which involve real communication, real communication in meaningful context, in meaningful context. Now again look at here. So students need to perform the meaningful tasks, and so these tasks should involve real communication. They have to communicate to each other in completing the tasks, and the tasks should be performed in meaningful context. They are the key to task-based language teaching. Is that clear? ठीक छ, बुझ्नु भएको छ? So next thing, it encourages, okay, I'm sorry, it encourages students, okay, देख्नु भएको छ? It encourages students to produce and interact in the target language, in the target language, okay, in the target language, understood? They have to produce the target language, they have to interact in the target language, right? Right. So let me run. Have you finished? Okay, right up. Have you finished? So task-based language teaching को concept साथीहरुलाई पक्कै clear भयो होला? Okay, nice. So let us define what actually task is. त्यसो भए टास्क भनेको के हो? अब त्यतातिर जाउँ, हुन्छ? टास्क के रहेछ भन्ने कुरा बुझ्न पर्यो. त्यसो भए हामी टास्क त भनिराख्यौं, तर त्यो टास्क के हो त? So let us define tasks. Defining tasks. So what are tasks? So let us discuss orally first. So simply, task is a communicative activity. Okay, it's a communicative activity. Number first, you need to remember, task is communicative activity. One thing you need to remember, this is communicative activity. It requires students to perform meaningful activities using that language, using particular language. Okay, so tasks are those activities that should be performed by the students using the target language. Okay, so task has a clear goal and it should be successfully completed. Next thing, task makes use of authentic language. Task has a clear goal. So according to Rod and Ellis, simply according to Ellis 2003, it has some features, right? So task is a work plan. Okay, task involves a primary focus on meaning, right? It involves real world processes of language use, and it can involve any of the language skills. That means 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Right? It has clearly defined communicative outcome. Right? It has some kind of outcome. I'll read your writing first. Okay, हेर्नुहोस् है, अब हामी टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङमा छौँ. ओके, ल म इन्लार्ज गर्छु है त. ठिक छ. नाइस. सो तपाईँले देख्नु भएको छ, यो लेखेको देख्नु भएको छ कि छैन भन्नुहोस् त. राइटिङको साइज कस्तो छ? एसपिजी, इज द राइटिङ क्लियर? टेल मी क्विकली. ल डियर टिचर्स, ल लेखौँ त. राइटिङ बुझिन्छ कि बुझिँदैन? यस. ल तपाईँलाई केही प्रब्लम छ भने ओके, लेट मी सजेस्ट बिन्दुजी, यो ओके लग आउट एन्ड अगेन लग इन है त. तपाईँ एकचोटि आउट लग अफ गरेर फेरि आउट इन गर्नुहोस् त, अनि तपाईँले बुझ्नुहुन्छ होला है त. क्लियर छ है? एकचोटि लग आउट गर्नुहोस् त अनि लगइन गर्नुहोस् फेरि. So task, simply how do you define task? It's an activity. First thing you need to remember, this is an activity that is carried out by the learners using the target language. This is the good definition of a task. Let me repeat it again. So task is an activity that is carried out by the students using the target language, right? So it focused on meaning rather than form. It is 1989, right? 1989. Nunyan, 1989 said their tasks focuses on meaning rather than on the form. So task focuses on the real world activities, and it focuses on task completion. So simply, task is an activity that requires learners to use the language with an emphasis on meaning to attain some kind of goal, right? Some kind of goal. So learners here in completing the tasks are required to, remember, to use the language, negotiate the meaning, remember, negotiate the meaning, collaborate with their friends. That means they have to work together with their friends to complete the task. So they have to negotiate the meaning. Okay, they have to negotiate the meaning. They have to collaborate, right? They have to collaborate with their friends. So you know, task is a communicative activity. And remember, task integrates all 4 language skills. It's a communication-based language teaching activity, simply, right? So, language production, information gap activities, reasoning gap activities, opinion gap activities are there in task-based language teaching. As I have already told you, it's a work plan. It involves primary focus on meaning. It involves real-world processes of language use. Right? It can involve 4 language skills. It engages cognitive processes of the students. It has clearly defined goal. That means learning outcome. That's right. La, यही कुरा अब लेख्छौं. Okay, nice. La. So Sumitra ji has written something. Let me read it out. What Sumitra Punji has written. Task focuses on process rather than product. Nice. Conversation, okay, communication, right, is the central focus of language and keystone to language acquisition. Yeah, how nice answer. ल अरूले पनि टास्क को डिफाइन गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ भने गर्नुहोस् त. Okay, students are given purposeful activities. Yeah, they are really purposeful activities. That's right. Let us prepare the note. अब हामी नोट बनाउँछौं. So what are tasks? Our task के हो त? Tasks, simply, task, okay, remember task is any activity. Now look at here, any activity. This is any activity. So you can simply say purposeful activity. Okay, purposeful activity, right? So task is any activity or purposeful activity carried out, okay, carried out by the learners, carried out by the learners using, okay, using simply target language, using target language, right? So first definition, are you clear? बुझ्नु भएको छ? ल बुझ्नु भएको छैन भने लेख्नुहोस् है त च्याट बक्समा. Okay, nice thing. Purposeful activities, right? While learning, nice. Next thing, what is next thing? It focuses on meaning. Okay, it focuses on meaning rather than on form. Okay, Nunyan, 1989. Okay, to make our answer authentic, I have cited Nunyan 1989. This is the thing you need to know. Okay, so यहाँसम्म बुझ्नु भएको छ होला हैन? ठिक छ? ओके, नाइस. कस्तो राम्रो कमेन्ट गर्नु भएको रहेछ ल. So simply it focuses on, अर्को हेर्नुस् है त, it focuses on process rather than product. यसले प्रोसेसमा बढी जोड दिन्छ प्रोडक्टमा भन्दा. Okay, so next is communication, or you can say conversation, right? Conversation is the key to tasks. So therefore we can say, त्यसैले अब हामी के भन्न सक्छौं भन्दा, task is an activity, task is a purposeful activity, right? It's purposeful activity that requires learners, okay, that requires learners. So now look at here, task is a purposeful activity that requires learners to use the language, right? To use language, okay, with an emphasis, that means focus, emphasis on, okay, meaning to obtain the goal, or you can say objective. This is task, simply task. So in task, learners need to negotiate meaning. So you should never forget this. Whenever you are talking about task, you should not forget that learners need to negotiate meaning and collaborate with their friend. So collaboration, that means working together. Collaborate with their friends, with their colleagues, you can say, right? With their friends. So to complete the activity. So this activity is simply a task. Task is activity. Remember, task is activity, but it should be purposeful, right? It should be purposeful. So it should use the target language in completing it, okay? It should focus on meaning rather than on form, and It's an activity that focuses on the process rather than product. It's an activity where communication or conversation is key, right? Therefore, we have concluded that it requires learners to use the language with emphasis and meaning to obtain the goal, right? So, negotiation of meaning and collaboration with their friends, they are key to the successful tasks. Simple? So, it's another thing, it's communicative activity. It is a communicative activity. Communicative activity. Right? So another thing you need to remember, have you written anything? Yeah, nice thing. So it's a communicative activity. So it integrates all four language skills, right? Four language skills. Is that clear? So they are tasks. So students have to perform the activity in real life situation, you can say, right? They have to complete, right? It requires students, okay, students to complete the activity, to complete the activity in real life situation, real life situation. So remember another term, real life situation. These things make as a whole tasks. So we are talking about task-based language teaching. If your language teaching is based on the tasks, these tasks, that is called task-based language teaching. So are you clear now? Can you define what tasks now? अब तपाईले सक्नुहुन्छ त यो टास्क के रहेछ भनेर भन्न सक्ने हुनुभयो त? ल भन्नुस् त मलाई एकदम क्विकली. Okay, Pankajji, Sumitraji, Suresh, Tilman, okay. Bimlaji, okay. Can you define tasks now? Yeah, that's fine, good. So, आज चाहिँ बोर्ड क्लियर छ कि छैन हिजोको भन्दा? लेख्नुस् त साथीहरु. So, board clear छ भन्ने लाग्छ मलाई. So now, shall I rub them? Okay, fine. So, there are some characteristics of tasks, right? So, let us characterize the tasks. Characteristics of tasks. So, according to Ellis 2003. So, to make your answer more authentic, you can cite the scholar, right? So, I am following the concept of Ellis 2003. So, Ellis says that a task is a work plan. So, for him, task is a work plan. This is the plan for work, plan for activity. Second, it involves, it means tasks, involves primary focus on meaning, we have already said. So this is another feature. Focused on meaning, remember. So it's a work plan. So to English 2003, it's a work plan. Clear? It's a work plan. Let me see what you have written. Okay, fine. Takes a lot. So next, according to him, it involves, right, a real world processes of language. Right. Okay. So Sureshji, let me read what he has written. The task is an activity which requires learners to arrive at an outcome from given information through some process of thought and which allows teachers to control the regulate that process. Nice. कस्तो राम्रो लेख्नु भएको ल सुरेशजी thank you for your right nice answer. So sorry. I'm sorry. So next, so it can involve another feature. It can involve all four language skills. Four language skills. So two English it integrates all four language skills. Okay, all four language skills. So a task engages the cognitive process. The cognitive process, right? Processes. So it's a task, remember. So it has clearly defined communicative outcome. Communicative outcome, right? Or outcome. This is an objective. It has a clear goal. That means, right? So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 characteristics are there according to Ellis. Let me clarify you the concepts now. So according to Ellis 2003, a task is a work plan and it especially focuses on meaning rather than on form. It involves real world processes of language. So it uses the language in real life situation from the real life situation. It means it creates a real life context in language learning that will make language learning more natural, right? So it integrates all language skills. That means all four language skills. Okay, it provides learners with natural context for the language use, right? Natural context. It provides the context, real life context for language learner, right? So it especially uses the authentic language also. But according to Ellis, so it integrates all four language skills, real world processes are focused. It also engages cognitive processes in mind, right? So it has clearly defined communicative outcome. So we can say task is an activity, right? Purposeful activity that requires learners to use language, right? With an emphasis on meaning to attain the educational objectives, the learning objectives. So that's all about tasks. Then, so are you clear? So let us discuss about some of the principles of task-based language then. Principles of task-based language teaching. Let me write the principles of task-based teaching. Principle of task-based, okay, language teaching. Principles of task-based language teaching. This is the next thing we are going to learn. In exam, you can be asked to define tasks and then mention its principles. Exam what are the principles? There are so many principles of task-based language teaching, right? So some of them we are going to discuss. So in your exam, यस्ता क्वेशनहरु आउन सक्छ हेरौँ है त ल एउटा स्याम्पल क्वेशन हेरौँ How do you define task and task-based language teaching? Task-based language teaching, right? Task-based language teaching, how do you define this? Okay, अब यसरी अनि तपाईलाई what are the principles of what are the principles of task-based language teaching. Based language teaching. यसको लागि साथीहरूले प्रिपेयर हुनु पर्यो के अनि कहिले काहीँ के पनि सोध्न सक्छ भन्दा how does task-based language teaching integrates all language skills? यो टाइपको क्रिटिकल क्वेशन्स आयो भने पनि you need to be ready for this pedagogical questions to answer. So, first of all, let us discuss. हामीले डिफाइन गरिसकेका छौँ यो फर्स्टको तपाईले गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ you can define tasks and task-based language teaching. Do you? Can you define? Right. Okay. Fine. So I hope you can do. And now we are going to discuss some of the principles. Let us define orally first. So there are so many principles of task-based language teaching, right? अब task definitionबाट task-based language teaching को definitionबाट पनि तपाई क्लियर हुनुभयो होला. First and foremost, right? So task-based language teaching focus on comprehension and negotiation of meaning, right? So are you commenting? Right. Okay. So task-based language teaching focuses on comprehension, right? It focuses on comprehension and negotiation of meaning, the first principle. And the second one, task-based language lesson must have a clear goal. It must have clear learning outcome. Or you can say it must have a clear objective. Two principles we have discussed. And then teachers should maintain the difficulty level of the tasks. It should be according to students' level, right? So there should be exposure to authentic language according to task-based language teaching. There must be the exposure to the authentic language in task-based language teaching. And then another principle is the teacher should engage students in negotiating the meaning through collaboration, right? So students have to collaborate for meaning, where the teacher has to encourage them for negotiating, for collaborating. This is another principle. All right. So in the same way, teachers should provide good models of the target language from where you students can learn. So teachers should be model inside the classroom. So while your students are learning, while they are acquiring language, while they are collaborating, while they are negotiating, while they are completing the tasks, completing the purposeful activity, teachers should not interrupt students in between the tasks. While they are communicating, while they are engaging themselves in different purposeful activities, teachers should not interrupt them. And then, so teacher needs to clarify the rationale of the task, meaning of the task, purpose of the tasks, and significance of the tasks. And the focus of language teaching and learning should be on process rather than on the product. So language learning itself is a process rather than product. We should search for process rather than product. This is another principle. And in the same way, learners learn language by being engaged in tasks. That means learners learn language by doing. They learn language by engaged in various purposeful, real life, communicative activities. So communicative activities are themselves the tasks, right? So students must play the active role. Now let's discuss about students' role. They must be active learner inside the classroom. And remember, the teacher's role is to encourage your students to take a risk. They have to take risk, right? So they will learn. And the teachers have to encourage them to evaluate their progress, evaluate their performance as well. And remember, the students should receive the feedback in completing the task. That means teachers should be feedback provider, right? Okay. So, and remember one more important thing. The activities that students are carrying out must be related to their real life or having some kind of pedagogical value, right? So, यही कुरा लेखौँ त ओरली अलिकति क्लियर भयो त अब अगाडि बढौँ. Okay, now let us see the principles in points. Okay, the principles of task-based language teaching can be written in the following ways. यो तपाईले लेख्न सक्नुहुन्छ हैन त. So it especially focus on comprehension and negotiation of meaning भने नि मैले. So task based language teaching, task-based language teaching, okay, focuses on, it focuses on, okay, के भने मैले focuses on comprehension हैन त, focuses on comprehension and negotiation of meaning, right? Comprehension and negotiation of meaning. Negotiation of meaning. This is the most important principle. Another is a task must have a clear goal. You can say clear learning outcome. So what is another principle? Teachers should maintain the difficulty level of the tasks. अघि पनि कुरा गर्यौं हामीले हैन त. Okay, teacher should maintain the difficulty level of the task. It means teachers should pay attention while selecting the task, because tasks should be in accordance with students' level. Okay. So next thing, there should be enough exposure. Okay, enough exposure. You know exposure, amount of input given to the language, given to the learners in the form of language. Exposure, right? So they should be given with enough input. Is that clear? To authentic language. Exposure to authentic language. Is that all right? So, all right. Next principle. What is next? So the teacher should encourage students to use authentic language, right? The teacher should encourage students to use authentic language. Okay, authentic language must be used in task-based language teaching. And then teachers should not interrupt. Teacher should not, teacher should not disturb. That means interrupt, okay? Interrupt the students while they are negotiating and collaborating. Negotiating meaning and collaborating to complete the task. To complete the task. Okay? यहाँसम्म क्लियर छ? भन्नुस् त? Is that okay up to now? So students should receive feedback for improvement, right? So feedback has important role in students' performance, right? And next principle is teachers should specify the rational of doing, or you can say completing the tasks, doing or engaging in the tasks. So is that clear? And then the focus should be on right process rather than on product. Okay. So let me know. We're talking about the principles of task-based language. So this is the same thing, common thing in secondary and lower secondary level. यहाँसम्म साथीहरूले बुझ्नुभयो होला भन्ने लाग्छ, ठीक छ? Students learn the language by being engaged in the, okay? Students learn the language being engaged in the task or in the completion of the task. You can simply say this, right? Students learn the language by being engaged in the task. And then students should play the active role. Students should play the active role in language learning. They must be the active agent for change, active role. And what is the role of teacher? Again, हामीले कुरा गर्यौं नि हैन. So teachers should encourage learners to take risk in language learning. So, हैन त? ल हेर्नुस् त. ल अब यति प्रिन्सिपल्स जानेपछि साथीहरुलाई एनफ हुन्छ. अब भोलि चाहिँ हामी अब टास्कका फेजेसहरु छन्, टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङका प्री टास्क फेज, वाइल टास्क फेज, पोस्ट टास्क फेज, यो फेजेसहरुको कुरा गर्छौं. And then we will differentiate focus tasks with that of unfocused tasks tomorrow. As a whole, let's conclude today's class saying task-based language teaching is the recent approach to language teaching, foreign language teaching, that suggests that acquiring a second language requires students doing tasks in that language, using the authentic language. It focuses on meaning rather than form. It focuses on fluency rather than accuracy. It focuses on the completion of task. It focuses on the meaning, right? So, it requires students to perform meaningful, purposeful tasks that involves real communication in meaningful context, in real life context. It must use It focuses on the use of authentic language. It provides learners with a natural context for language learning. Okay, so task-based language teaching has a clear goal, but students must negotiate the meaning. Students must collaborate with their friend to complete the tasks. So task-based language teaching is the cry of the day. We have to use task-based language teaching. So you can say that it's student-centered activity. It's a student-centered approach of learning foreign language teaching, isn't it? La. So how did you find Joseph's class? अब जाँदा जाँदै भन्नुहोस् त आजको क्लास यहाँहरूलाई कस्तो लाग्यो? Comment wherever you are watching from. Okay, right now? Is the thing clear? Did you like the class? ल साथीहरूलाई आजको क्लास कस्तो लाग्यो? लेखौँ त क्विकली लेख्नुहोस्. सुरेश जी, okay, तिलमान जी, go on writing. Pankaj ji, okay, good sir, thank you. ल लेखौँ सबै लेखौँ. Okay, Suresh ji, thank you. The class was outstanding, sir. Thank you. Suresh ji, awesome class with. Okay, much more effective. Thank you, Sumitra ji. Thank you for your kind words. Nice words. So, let me ask you a question. अब तपाईले यहाँबाट क्वेशन आयो भने एक्जाममा गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. क्वेशन्स त हामीले स्याम्पल लेख्यौं हैन. अब एउटा क्वेशन चाहिँ तपाईले फोकस गर्ने एउटा पार्ट के रह्यो भन्दा अब बाँकी पार्ट त छ हाउ डज टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङ इन्टिग्रेट्स आवर ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङ. यो चाहिँ क्वेशन खोजेर हैन यो क्वेशनको आन्सर खोजेर यसो लेख्ने अभ्यास गर्नु होला. अनि हाउ डु यु डिजाइन एक्टिभिटी युजिङ टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङ भन्ने छ. त्यो नेक्स्ट डे हामीले डिजाइनिङ एक्टिभिटी हेर्छौँ अनि एक्जाममा आउनसँग एउटा थ्योरिटिकल पोर्सन भनेको युनिट नम्बर 6 पछि थ्योरिटिकल पोर्सन भन्ने सोध्न सक्छ. व्हाट इज टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज टिचिङ, व्हाट डु यु मिन बाइ टास्क हैन यो थ्योरिटिकल क्वेशन्स. अनि व्हाट आर द प्रिन्सिपल यो पनि थ्योरिटिकल क्वेशन्स भयो. अनि हाउ डु यु टिच टास्क बेस्ड ल्याङ्ग्वेज फलोइङ डिफ्रेन्ट स्टेजेस भन्ने कुरा भोलि हेरौँला. अनि मेजर कुरा सरी. So design any 3 activities to teach any language item using text-based language teaching. This is the most important thing. We will discuss in tomorrow's class. ठीक छ? ल साथीहरुलाई यो Zoom ID बाट बाहेक अन्यबाट पनि साथीहरुले हेरिरहनु भएको छ भने let me request you to join the class soon. So there will be the activity design in tomorrow's class. Let me welcome you all in our online learning platform in the days to come. Thank you. Do you have any questions at the end? अब अन्तिममा जाँदा जाँदै के नबुझेको छ कि साथीहरुले भन्नुस् न. Do you have anything to ask or any confusion at the end? Let me answer your question if you have. Any questions? No question. Okay. Okay, Sureshji. Okay. So, if you don't have any question, shall we say good night? Okay, good night. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.